So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at where we are today, the problems we have, the problems we face moving forward, and set out a proposal for how to staff the park into the next calendar year or thereafter. So right now we have 3 part-time staff running the park, 15 to 20 hours a week, with the park supervisor on the staff of the winter, and then we pay for unemployment for the 2 helpers in the off season. It's a 30-week season, and we spend about $38,000 in actual wages plus taxes on employment and workman's compensation. So they do a number of tasks. The biggest is mowing, but then they also do trash, bathroom cleaning, some small capital projects, and notably they do maintain a couple of important other facilities. They're responsible for the Church Street median. They do periodically mow the yellow barn, although that didn't happen this year. That was done by the highway department. And they certainly specifically run the golf course within this. That's an important thing to point out because it has a little bit of specialized labor. But the responsibility of changing, something that Jerry's noted to me very clearly, is that there's a lot more string trimming in the park with a lot more fencing, and as such we require people who are competent at that and are able to do that easily. We have a lot more efficient lawnmowers that we need to spend less time mowing, more time string trimming, more time maintaining the park. There's a lot less construction. The park truly is mature. We have the courts that we need. We have space that we need. If anything, the park over time has reduced its specific facilities in favor of more field space. And importantly, there's some bureaucratic component there. The park has a number of paperwork rules that are relevant to it, given that the park does handle cash. The park it must comply with the improved timekeeping, and the park sits in the floodplain, so any construction components really need to be running through my office. But we have a number of other changes. Those changes include, we don't have many staff right now during the day outside of the morning. The labor is a bit over divided, which creates some management inefficiencies and a lot of fixed cost things. And then we do rely on outsourced labor for certain tasks. And one thing I really want to flag here is that the Yellow Barn and the Seal Pine properties, as well as the other odds and ends on paper, the Church Street median, the Dietrich property, are all sitting in an institutional no man's land with no one necessarily specifically assigned to taking care of it. And also we have a volunteer who mows the area around Town Hall. That is community house property, but it's certainly something that we don't have to make arrangements to deal with. And in that event that volunteer falls off, we expect that we'll have to be doing more of that. So my proposal, it is shifting to 1 full-time equivalent staff member working, as you can see, about 1,250 hours per week or per year. And
per week, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's what Matt already does.
I was like, oh my gosh. How does that work?
Oh my gosh. But so they'd be
doing it.
Yeah, I was a little sleepy there. But they'd be working about 24 hours a week, varying seasonally. But importantly, this would be a full-time equivalent employee. They would be eligible for town health care. They'd be eligible for a pension. That dramatically changes the overall compensation design of this position. Here's a weekly breakdown. The core mowing season has about 21 weeks, and then you have 13 weeks of shoulder season, and then the off season is 18 weeks. The proposal has that individual detailed to the highway department for some of those hours in the off season. But they would stay on the staff collecting their health care and their limited number of hours. Why is it an FTE? We can't keep it under it being an FTE. We can't maintain this park for 30 hours per week hard for a 90-day period, or
Wait, what?
or for
Yeah.
so if the law calls an FTE 390 hours over 90 days, this works out to 30 hours per week.
Okay.
But it's calendar months, so that means that like in this summer, it would have been a 14-week season in the 3 calendar months in the core of summer. So that actually means that this person, if we were trying to keep this underpaying for healthcare, that person would have to be working no more than, say, 27 hours per week in certain years. So the most sustainable way to staff this position is a full-time equivalent employee.
Just one employee.
One employee, highly productive, working 40 hours with complete control of the facility and
so
responsibility
in the summertime, in the season, their work and their position would expand. In the wintertime, it would contract.
Back to being plowing the sidewalks,
Right.
plowing the park, and then they collect their health care. So here's a list of a number of things that the proposal solves. It also allows us to drop a lawnmower. That's a capital expense over time. But we also see that this gives us an opportunity to maintain the park without the fixed time costs and the management inefficiencies that are rampant in this current system, where we have 3 members running around, setting their own hours, working them at some degree of productivity, but a degree that I don't see is acceptable enough or good enough to be what the park deserves. And so we have a cost breakdown here. This is highly dependent on the scope of their health insurance. So there's some variance. It could drop the labor spending by as much as $8,800. It could raise it by as much as $11,700. But these figures do account for taxes and unemployment, but they do not account for the change in workman's comp, which would be cut to a third of what the current rate is. Todd brought up that there's interest from the school in potentially having this individual, if this transition happened, also plow the school parking lots as a way to get more hours in the winter. That is something that we can make arrangements for if that was valuable to them. But this proposal does not hinge on that component of this at all, and I cannot stress this enough. But it would be bonus if that person were able to work more than the 5 hours in the winter to do some plowing.
Well, they might be taking another job doing plowing anyway,
Yeah, and we would expect that they would be around to be able to plow the sidewalks and plow the paths in the park, and there might be some other synergies there, but this certainly does not turn on that. There's a couple of risks here that I'm flagging. Are the efficiency gains there? Who wants to work this job with the extreme seasonality? There is some learning curve, and what do they do on the rainy days? The efficiency of this certainly is something that is what the proposal turns on, but it is certainly true that the daily setup and breakdown costs of opening up the garage, making sure all the mowers are in working order, making sure everything's under control. You're maintaining less, and you're getting interrupted less because there are fewer employees having their own problems. This individual will be solely responsible for their equipment. They would be able to know when they need to tune things up, to work on these things, and the rainy days provide them the opportunity to work on their equipment and make sure that it's always in working order. I am not particularly afraid of not being able to find someone from this position, because healthcare for a job with this level of seasonality is not a benefit that really is available, especially not with the government pension that is also attached to this. It is a benefit-heavy compensation package, and we're confident that the kind of person who works a lot of jobs like this already may find that this is an upgrade from running their existing lawn mowing / snow plowing business to come work, get fully paid healthcare and $17 an hour to compensate, and then a pension after 7 years.